Most of the stories I'll tell this evening, and there aren't a lot, are ones I've learned from children. This was an exception. I learned it from a teacher. Sirin was, she was one of the teachers that did a storytelling course with me back in around 2020, height of the pandemic. And she absolutely blew us away with this story, a Palestinian folktale. It's the story of Zarif Al Toul, Saraya, and the monstrous Ghoul. Story. Long ago, there was a girl called Saraya. She was young, and every day she left her home in Haifa. She walked away from her home on the coast, along the shore, along the rocky shore she walked. And how Saraya loved the sea. She gazed at the sea and sang to the rough waves. But strangely, when she sang, the sea became calm. Every day, she walked beside the sea. One day, as she was walking, she heard a strange voice coming from the deep. Saraya, Saraya, loved by the Ghoul, marry me. Ghoul from the deep wishes to marry me. And Saraya answered, I will only marry one I love with all my heart. That night she returned to the safety of her home in Haifa. But the next day, as she walked along that rocky shore, she heard that voice again while she was singing. Can you remember what that Ghoul said? Saraya, Saraya, loved by the Ghoul, marry me. And she answered as she did before, I will only marry one I love with all my heart. The next day, the same again. But unexpected, unprepared was Saraya as the Ghoul leapt out from beneath the waves. Huge, monstrous, green-red burning eyes, foul breath. The Ghoul seized Saraya. Saraya, Saraya, marry me. And as he carried her away from the shore, she said again, I will only marry one I love with all my heart. He carried her away from the shore and up into the mountains. Jadallah and there at the height of that mountain, the Ghoul built a tower made of stone, thick stone, impenetrable. There was no door into the tower. The Ghoul put her at the top of the tower. There was a small window. She could not climb down, it was too sheer a drop. And the Ghoul abandoned her there at the top of Jabal al-Karmel, what you might know as Mount Carmel. She could see in the distance the lights of Haifa, but she was abandoned and all alone. But in spite of this sorrow, she sang. And as she sang, the rough waves calmed. The next evening, the Ghoul came out of the sea. The Ghoul rose, came up to that tower. And one thing I didn't tell you about Saraya is she had the longest, blackest hair. The Ghoul cried, Saraya, Saraya, let down your long night black hair. And Saraya untied her hair and let it fall, cascading from the top of the tower. And the ghoul, heavy, climbed up her thick black hair and into that high window. And the ghoul brought her delicious food from the sea, which nourished her. The ghoul brought her clothing to try to please her, and said, "Saraya, Saraya, loved by the ghoul, marry." Again she answered, "I will only marry one I love with all my heart." Well, so it went on. Until one day, a storyteller appeared. This storyteller had left his home far away, walked and took his music with him. He played and he told at any place where he could rest and was welcomed in. And his name, famous across Palestine, Zarif Al Toul. Is he not well known, Imad?
Yeah.
The song of
There are songs
Zarif Al
about
Toul
him.
is sung at every wedding, isn't it?
Yep.
The wedding song of Zarif Al Toul. Well, he was a merry storyteller, loved by all. And he wandered along the shore and heard the most exquisite song. Saw that sea becoming calm, and he was enchanted. He came hiding behind a rock and saw up above the most delightful face, her face as round as a full moon shining. He lost his heart at that moment to Saraya, but he didn't know who she was. He could see no way into that tall tower. He waited until the darkness began to fall, and he saw the most extraordinary sight. Out from the deep came that monstrous ghoul, so powerful, lurching, staggering, up, Jabal al-Karmil, up to that stone tower, and he heard the ghoul cry, "Saraya, Saraya, let down your long night black hair." Saraya let down her hair, and the ghoul climbed up and disappeared into the window. "Ah, here I will wait," thought Zarif Al Toul. He slept. When he awoke during the night, he saw the moon was full and round and shining, just as it is tonight in Tiverton. He fell back into strange dreams, but then awoke, and the sun was rising, and he saw that monstrous ghoul climbing back down the long black hair, and going and disappearing beneath the waves. Now is my chance. A familiar story, I take it, for many of you. He went up to the tower, and the minstrel, the storyteller, cried, "Saraya, Saraya, with your let down your long night black hair." I should try again. "Saraya, Saraya, let down your long night black hair." There's still no response. I must call louder. I need some help. "Saraya, Saraya, let down your long night black hair." And the hair came tumbling down. And Zarif Al Toul climbed up, hand over hand, up the rocky, sheer side of that tower and in through the window. And Saraya was amazed. "Who are you? You weigh less than the ghoul. What are you doing here?" "I am Zarif Al Toul. I am a musician and a storyteller. And I heard your voice, and I saw the ghoul. I wish to know your story." "Well then, if you are a storyteller," said Saraya, "tell me a tale." And he began to play. the most delightful tune. The story began, and he wove his magic with his words, and Saraya was entranced. And as she listened, her heart opened to this stranger. And when the tale was done, Saraya herself began to sing. She sang so beautifully, and Zarif Al Toul's heart melted. And when she finished her song, he began his next story. Story followed song, and song followed story throughout the long day. They did not notice the passing of time. They were so enraptured in each other's company. But as the sun went down, out from the sea came the Ghoul. Came up, Jadallah, up to that rocky, tall tower, and cried, "Saraya, Saraya, let down your long night black hair." It is the Ghoul, Zarif Al Toul. He will destroy you. Zarif Al Toul, I will face him. We will meet. Let down your hair, Saraya. She let down her hair. It tumbled down to the bottom of the tower, and the Ghoul climbed hand over hand. Heavy he was, and through that opening. What is this? Saraya, who is here before me? Why, this is Zarif Al Toul, says Saraya. I love him with all my heart. You love this one after I bring you food, after I bring you wonderful clothes from under the sea, and you prefer him over me. I will destroy him. And the Ghoul approached Zarif Al Toul, seized him, threw him from the window, and he crashed to the rocks below. Zarif Al Toul, battered and bruised, cut with wounds, rose to his feet. He saw the monstrous Ghoul take Saraya, and Saraya said, O Ghoul, do not kill Zarif Al Toul." "I will destroy him," said Zarif Al Toul, and brought her down, and there they stood on the rocks, and she said, No, what can I do to save him?" "To save him, you must marry. I will marry you to save the one I love." Ha! And the Ghoul picked her up, dragged her down to the waves, and dived beneath. Zarif Al Toul saw all of this and followed. Although he was injured, he was determined to save the one he loved. He came down to the rocky shore, took a breath, and dived beneath the waves. Down and down and down swam Zarif Al Toul until he came into a wonderful cave decorated with pearls and curtains of seaweed. And there, behind a rock, he hid and heard the Ghoul say to Saraya, "I will go, Saraya, invite all of the ghouls of the sea, and they will come to our wedding, which will be celebrated here in this very cave." And he left. For this was Zarif Al Toul's chance. He swam out from his hiding place. Come. And together Zarif Al Toul and Saraya out of the cave and swimming up to the surface. And they took a breath, and they could see the lights of Haifa. Come with me, Zarif Al Toul. I bring you to my family. And they began to swim. Is that the end of the story? Of course not. For now the ghoul returned, not alone, but with many, many ghouls of the sea. And when they saw that Saraya was no longer in the cave, they flew into a fury, and they broke the waves, which crashed and raised high. The sky darkened, and a terrible storm arose. What can we do? Zarif Al Toul, we will surely drown. Saraya, Saraya, you must sing. And then Saraya sang the most beautiful, soft song. They swam beside each other to the shore. They walked along the rocky cliff to the great port of Haifa. And there Zarif Al Toul met Saraya's family, who welcomed him as one of their own. And when they heard the story, which he told so well, they were enchanted. Blessings were given, and the wedding was arranged. And as for that ghoul, no doubt it remains deep beneath